Well, for more on the job market in the United States, we're going to crisscross over to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where we are joined by Sam Caucci. He's the founder and CEO of One Huddle, a staff training and consulting firm. Hi there, Stan. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Sam, tell us, what is your reaction, first of all, to today's job numbers?
I think they were unexciting. The reality is the jobs report comes out, as consistently as it does, and I think that we know the trend, what has been occurring over and over again with, jobs are being created. I think that as a business owner and somebody who looks at the workforce pretty closely on an ongoing basis, I think the big question for me is the people that are getting those jobs, how well are they prepared in order to perform the jobs that, every month we have a report and a number that comes across the screen, but we know that we have a workforce that's in trouble.
We also saw that there was a drop in people dropping out of actually the job market. Why are companies having such a difficult time training and keeping their workforce? And also tell us about this new phenomenon that is called gamification.
Yeah, great question. So I think companies are, they're struggling to respond to a different workforce. We have a different workforce today. 50% will be a millennial by 2020. Nearly a third of the workforce will be Generation Z, which, if you're sick of hearing about millennial, get ready because Generation Z is coming next. And it's a generation that grew up with different experiences, using gamification, like you mentioned, as a perfect point. The average millennial will have spent over 10,000 hours on some type of game platform before they hit 21. So when they get a job, the last thing they want to do is be handed a manual, be forced to sit through an 8 or 16-hour training workshop, or be forced to sit through hours and hours of online learning that I would argue is training a workforce of the 1980s when we're in a totally different generation with different skill gaps, and we need different solutions to close that gap.
I admit I had to look this up to know exactly what gamification is. So explain to our audience what you're talking about.
So gamification is it's taking game mechanics, which are points, badges, leaderboards. If you have a frequent flyer mile program you use, that level you're fighting to get by the end of this year is a form of gamification. So when it comes to training, it's taking that compliance module that some of the folks out there have to do before the end of the year and turning it into a competition, tying points to it, and making it something that if you complete it and score well at it, you rank yourself against coworkers. So in a way, it's taking the stuff you need to know and, supercharging it with competition to make it something that you want to do, not just training that typically we always feel like we have to complete.
And how does this go over with non-millennials like myself when training them?
Well, it's funny, a few months ago, I walked into my house and I looked over my mom's shoulder and she was playing Angry Birds on her phone. So I think that across generations, the concept of a crossword puzzle or a trivia game, or, if you're a millennial, PlayStation or the like, people understand the mechanics of a game. They understand when they invest time, they earn points. When they earn points, they can redeem them for something. So I think the opportunity in the workforce today is to take training, which is critical and very important today to close a skill gap, and just trying to be more creative around how we get people to want to do it. Training shouldn't be something that you have to do. And we live in a time where we have real challenges our workforce faces. We can't continue to make training something that is a have to. It's got to be looked at differently. Gamification is one of the ways you can do that.
So Sam, is there anything that you can point to demonstrate how successful this technique is?
Yeah, so I would probably argue that the majority of new learning and training programs coming out today have some type of gamification happening to them. We have at One Huddle at our company, we have a mobile game platform, and we have over 80 companies from ESPN to Audible that use it to deploy training. But besides us, companies are well aware of the fact that young folks coming out of college have different skill gaps. And in order to find ways to make not just their workplace more fun and engaging to work at, but finding ways to make training something that is something like you volunteer to do, is something that companies are thinking about consistently, and they're using gamification as one of the anchors to rebrand training.
Well, I've just got a few seconds left, but tell me, how prevalent is this used in the U.S.?
I would say it's not prevalent yet. We're really at the front end of companies trying to deploy games as a way to deploy learning. You know, to be very frank with you, a lot of companies are still stuck in the Stone Age, and training is something they think has a trickle-down technique. We train the folks at the top, and the people at the bottom are going to get access to it. You know, I look at a jobs report today and I say the foundation of our workforce has to be strong in order to sustain the growth at the top. We have to continue to make training something that's accessible to everybody. And gamification, again, is something that I think you're going to see a heck of a lot more companies taking advantage of.
Okay.
But we have a long way to go.
Well, Sam Caucci, thank you. Founder and CEO of One Huddle, joining us from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Thank you.